All right. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Expo prep session. This is in prior to our upcoming virtual industry career expo on May the 3rd and the 4th. I am Arnold James, the Executive Director of Worldwide Career Services. I'm delighted to welcome all of you from all across the world. I see that we have quite a few from all across the US. Looks like we have from not only Orlando, but all the way, let me start from the top here, Detroit, Minot, North Dakota, Jacksonville, North Carolina. I'm just going to call out a few here. Daytona Beach, all righty. Miami, Florida, Hawaii. Let's see who else we have. Long Island, West Palm Beach. All right, and I'm pretty sure we have so many others. Thank you again. I see also Los Angeles, California, South Africa. Welcome, welcome. It's a pleasure to have all of you here today. And I believe that we have some excellent tips that we want to share with you just to make sure that you can put your best foot forward when you join us in about 2-3 weeks for our third annual virtual career expo. I have my team here today, including Ms. Rose Carlson, who's the Associate Director of Worldwide Career Services. I also have Ms. Andrea, she's also in the office here with me, Andrea Armstrong, who's our Assistant Director. I also have my other team members here. I'm going to introduce them very quickly. If I can see them here on the screen, Carolina Jurassic. Hi, Carolina, there you go. Amy, Dowling is here. They're all part of the Worldwide Career Services team. We also have Ms. Deb Goldstein as well as Ms. Jen Thomas also on the call. Also have a special guest for you today, Ms. Angie Engel. Angie hails from the alumni career engagement, and I'm delighted that she's joined us today. She's also going to assist us with this presentation. So just to give you a little bit of background, actually, we started doing, and I'm trying to get my slide to advance, we started doing career expos in person. Probably about 3 years ago in 2017. Of course, we have our expos at the residential campuses, Daytona Beach and Prescott, Arizona. However, our worldwide students also very well needed access to the same opportunities. So in 2017, in conjunction with our worldwide commencement ceremonies, we started doing what we call alumni career expos. And we basically went to the location. As you know, we have 5 commencement locations across the US, including San Diego and Seattle and Dallas, also in the Quantico area, and also Pensacola. So just prior to each one of the graduations, we would host maybe a small career expo of just a handful of employers. We started with maybe 20, 25 employers, but then something happened just prior to the beginning of the 2020 graduation season, something called COVID. And as you know, about, in February or March timeframe, everything was canceled. And they're telling me that my slides did not advance. So I'm going to try to see if I can get those slides to go in again. But in that time period, if we had so many things to happen that we had to make some serious adjustments. So what we did was almost 2 weeks prior to the commencement in 2020, we initiated a virtual expo within 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and we had about 17 employers. And tell you what, we haven't looked back since. So in 2020, we switched to networking in a virtual environment, and the response was overwhelming. So we just continued doing that. And now Today, we have over 50 employers, some of the major employers, and they're not all listed here, of course, but all of the major ones: Northrop Grumman, FAA, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Gulfstream. We just landed Airbus. We have Duncan Aviation. So we have a little bit of all of the industries, including safety and business and logistics and supply chain, engineering, even communication and transportation, homeland security, public safety. So a little bit of all of these to try to meet the needs of our worldwide students. So we're very proud of what we've been able to accomplish, and we hope that you will benefit from this expo. So we have an agenda for today. We're going to cover a little bit of something called career competencies. Then we're going to share with you what to expect on the 2 days of the expo. Also, we'll have a little bit of expo prep. And Andrea Armstrong will do a little deep dive into resume formats. Then we'll talk about your digital profile, and everybody loves, a little secret sauce. Whenever you're cooking, you got your own little special recipes, your own little special sauce. Well, we're gonna give you some a little secret sauce here. Some things that will really enhance your marketability on the day of the expo. Then we'll share with you a little bit about something called the Career Ready Club. Ms. Angie Engel is going to share what you should do after the expo, as well as some upcoming alumni events. So with that being said, let's jump right in. So now that we are in a virtual environment, there's something that employers tend to look for that may not be as tangible as your resume. There are times when they're looking to see whether you have some of those enhanced soft skills, or what we know as career competencies. There are actually 8 competencies that organization known as NACE have partnered with universities across the world. Basically, NACE stands for the National Association of Colleges and Employers. So the employers got together with universities and said, hey, let's talk about what we need to share with candidates that employers are looking for other than what's on your resume. There are 8 of these, and now we're going to just highlight just a few of them, but the 8 are in this order: career and self-development, oral and written communication, critical thinking, equity and inclusion, leadership, professionalism, teamwork, and technology. Now, out of these 8 competencies, you can imagine that there's some that really stands out a little bit more than others. The top 3 or 4 that I would really highlight during this session would be professionalism, critical thinking or problem solving. Number 3 would be communication. And number 4, teamwork and collaboration. So when during this virtual expo, when you're face to face with the recruiter via your laptop or whatever, there's some things that immediately the employer might focus on just from what he can see on the screen. What kind of person is this? What kind of image do you project? This is where professionalism comes in. Professionalism not only focuses on how you look, but it also deals with your character, your work ethic. But just from looking at the screen, we want to make sure that all of our candidates and all of the attendees that join the session have a professional appearance. We definitely recommend that you wear a business professional attire, or you may or may not wear a tie, but we would recommend that no t-shirts or worn out shirts, maybe a shirt with a collar. If you have a business jacket, that's always preferable, but not required. Just make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. Make sure that, of course, this is a little bit elementary, that of course you comb your hair, that you present you're smiling, and we'll cover some of these things a little bit later when we talk about virtual interviewing. But again, what kind of image, what kind of professional image do you project to the employer? Make sure that you smile. Make sure that you don't have a lot of wrinkles in your clothes. Pretend that you're in person, so that you, again, represent not only the university, but yourself in the best light. So professionalism, let that come across loud and clear. The second competency that I would deal with, of course, is very important, especially in a virtual environment, is communication. How well are you able to articulate what you bring to the table? I would really recommend that you write out your elevator pitch, which is your 30-second or commercial about yourself. Hi, my name is Arnold James, and I'm a graduate student at Embry-Riddle, studying in whatever your degree program is. I'm really interested in joining your company because, and we'll talk a little bit later about employer research. So this takes just a little bit of practice, but it comes across to the employer that you really have prepared for this session. So you want to put your best foot forward, not only with your professional appearance, but also the way that you articulate and communicate as well. Your written communication can be seen probably via your resume that Andrea is going to talk about a little bit later. So be prepared with the resume, and she'll give you some tips on that. The third tip I like to mention is critical thinking. During your conversation with the employers, you'll have a chance to demonstrate probably your critical thinking skills or your problem solving skills, thinking about projects and different things. Are you able to carry a conversation? Sometimes when you're meeting recruiters, they might just ask you a question or two about some of the projects that you've done. So this demonstrates your critical thinking skills. Last but not least, even in your resume, you'll have a chance to demonstrate about times when you've had a chance to work with a team. For some people, that may be a challenge if they're used to working just on an individual basis. But I encourage you to also include and show the employer that you're not only able to just work independently, but that you're also able to work within a team environment. And those are the four that I like to cover today regarding soft skills. Just be aware of them, and when you're communicating, interacting with various employers, always be sure that you put your best foot forward professionally, as well as doing your communication. All right, let's see. Next, we have Ms. Rose Carlson, who's going to talk a little bit and give you just a little snapshot of what to expect on Expo Day. So Rose, without further ado, it's all yours.
Thank you, Arnold, and thank you everybody for coming. Just to give you guys an idea of what to expect, the career fair is going to be via Zoom, and one of the key features of Zoom is the breakout room functionality. So think of a physical career fair where there are multiple booths with representatives from different companies. Just like physical career fairs, you can visit different booths, speak with representatives one-on-one. There'll be interview rooms. So if there is an employer that you're sparking up a great conversation with, you can then jump into an interview room with them and have a one-on-one interaction. So definitely get your technology together. Make sure you're testing it out. I know this is kind of a sample of what you're going to expect, but definitely make sure you have Zoom up and running. Okay, Arnold already talked about dress code. Make sure you dress professionally. Basically, do your best is all we ask. Arnold did mention researching employers. So why is it important to research employers when job seeking? It is a crucial step in the job search process for several reasons. You want to be ensured that it is a good fit. So by researching employers, you can gain insight into their company culture, values, missions. It'll help you determine if the company is a good fit for your own values and work style. And it's important to find employers whose goals and values align with your own. It also helps you prepare for interviews. So by researching your employer, you can learn more about the company's products and services, their goals, their challenges. This knowledge can help you prepare for interview questions and demonstrate your interest and enthusiasm for the company. You can tailor your application. So understanding an employee's values and culture can help you tailor the materials, including your cover letter and resume, to better align with what the employer is looking for in a candidate. And it will definitely increase your chances of getting an interview and ultimately landing that job. And just so you know, a study by Glassdoor found that candidates who research a company before an interview are 2.2 times more likely to receive a job offer than for those who don't. So just a few tips for virtual interviewing. You want to test your equipment and your connection. So you want to make sure that everything is working and up and running to avoid any technical issues. Choose a quiet and well-lit location. Okay, you want to avoid noisy areas such as coffee shops, busy streets. I had students that wanted to do it in their closet. Please don't, it's echoey. So you want to have a plain background, something that's not going to be distracting. You want to dress appropriately. You want to treat a virtual interview as you would an in-person interview. So it's always essential to make a very good first impression. You want to make eye contact into the camera. We want to encourage you to put a little sticky note next to the camera that says smile. This will help you to remind you to smile. You can put one that says breathe, because I know sometimes students hold their breath. You want to have your resume and cover letter and any other relevant documents on hand in case their interview requests them. You can email it to them. You want to avoid any distractions, such as checking your phone or email. Focus solely on the interviewer and the conversation. And most importantly, if you do get an interview, follow up. Send a follow-up email thanking the interviewer for their time and expressing your continued interest in that position. So anyone that is thinking about coming to the expo, when you're researching your employers, go online, apply for those positions prior to the expo. It will help the employers. So when you say, no, I already applied for this position, they can go in and check that information for you. So those are the things that are essential and what to expect on the day of the expo. Arnold?
Thank you so much. And next up, we have.
I don't want to advance the slide. She needs to.
Can everyone hear me? All right, great. So next up, we have Miss Andrea Armstrong. She had a few technical difficulties, but she's come here and I'm going to zoom in and she's going to share with you a little bit about resumes. And let's see, I think, Rose, let's go back to you. Have you already covered this on the employer schedules?
No, this is something that everyone's going to be receiving once the deadline approaches for employers. So every day we get employers that are signing up for the expo, and this schedule keeps getting updated. But once the deadline passes for employers to register for the expo, everybody that's attending or that's registered is going to receive this schedule. And you'll see that it's broken down by day and time, the employer and types of positions. So what you're going to want to do is check the day, see who you're interested in. Is it a field that you're looking into getting into or applying to, and then plan your day accordingly. So for the first hour, you'll see Thursday, May 4th, 12 to 12:45, all of those employers are going to be present. Those are the positions that they're looking to hire for. You'll just go down the list and you will then plan your day accordingly. And you can bounce around in those breakout rooms. So, you know, after you enter one, if you've heard everything you needed to hear, you can go to talk to somebody else. So you're going to have the ability to bounce around and do whatever you need to do on the day of the expo. But you want to definitely plan your day so you touch on your at least top 5. And then you can bounce around and go to the other ones if you choose to do so. Thank you, Arnold, for going back to that slide.
Awesome. All right. So without further ado, we're going to dive right into the resume, which is probably an area that many of you want to need a little bit more information about. And here to share on that is Ms. Andrea Armstrong. Andrea?
Thanks, Arnold, and thank you guys for joining us. What I want to touch on today is the importance of your resume and making sure that you know your audience. Arnold, next slide, please. You can click one more time. There are several types of resumes. What we have an example of here would be your chronological resume. It's more a traditional resume where things are in reverse chronological order, highlighting the most recent experience down. But that may not be the best resume format for every opportunity. So knowing your audience and what their expectation is key. For federal jobs, I recommend going into USA Jobs and using their federal resume builder to create a federal resume. And then for those of you who are maybe looking to transition into something completely new, or you have some gaps in your resume, a functional resume might be the best format to present your experience and skill sets. When we look at the resume example here on the page, you're going to notice that it is very clean, unlike some resume templates that you may find online that contain graphics or color blocking. This particular format is great in that it's easy for the recruiter to navigate and identify the information that's most important. It is also not going to experience issues with applicant tracking software that many companies now use to pre-screen resumes and identify if you meet the minimum qualifications and your experience aligns. So with that being said, there are a few tips that I want to cover. You'll want to make sure that your resume is tailored to the specific opportunity that you are interested in. Often we're asked how long a resume should be, and a general rule of thumb is 1 page for those with less than 5 years of experience in a particular discipline. If you have more than 5 years of experience, it's okay to go on to a 2nd page. The other thing to keep in mind is a professional resume is focused primarily on your most recent 10 years of experience. So if you're looking at experiences that are a few decades old, we'll talk about where you can put that. It can be highlighted in the additional experience section where you're just highlighting the employer name and your job title. That allows you to highlight experience that relates to your career path without spending a lot of space and creating a 5-page resume. Additionally, consistency is key. You'll notice in this, the font is consistent, the spacing is consistent. All of those things factor into that first impression that the employer gets of you. You can write on your resume a dozen times that you have great attention to detail. But if your resume is inconsistent, that is going to distract and take away from you identifying or claiming to have that skill set. And then again, you want to read through your resume before submitting it to a recruiter. I once worked with a student who attempted to write roster and unfortunately wrote rooster throughout the resume. So spell check does not catch everything. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to those details. Yeah. Additionally, I want to quickly touch on ways that you can create your personal brand, as well as network with others and begin working with career services. Hopefully all of you are familiar with Handshake. I know you all registered for this event, so that's a good start. But to begin working with career services, go ahead and upload the resume that you are currently using. We will be able to view that resume and then provide you with feedback or schedule a one-on-one meeting with you. Handshake is also great for looking for opportunities, whether those are internships and co-ops or full-time opportunities. It also keeps you up to date on upcoming events and allows you to access additional resources. When you click on the Career Center and resources, there are links to other platforms as well as a link to sample resumes and cover letters that you may find beneficial. Additionally, I encourage you all to go in and update your LinkedIn profile prior to the Expo. This is a way for you to not only develop great professional contacts and strengthen those relationships, but to learn about different employers, what they have going on, and find opportunities. It's also a great way for you to build your personal brand and highlight what makes you unique. I assure you, once you start connecting with these recruiters, they will look at your page to learn a little bit more about yourself. So make sure that your profile highlights the story that you want that recruiter to learn about you. We will also be making this slide deck available for you. So there is a checklist here for creating your LinkedIn profile. And I encourage you all to reference this as you're going through and updating your personal profile. I won't spend a lot of time going through each one, but this is a great resource as you're getting ready. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Andrea. I think there's some excellent information that she shared here, and we'll also leave time also for questions and answers a little bit later. However, I promised you that we wanted to give you a little bit of secret sauce, what we call. What are some of those extra things that you can do to make yourself more marketable? And here to share with you our secret sauce, Ms. Rose Carlson again. Rose?
Thank you, Arnold. So the screen that you guys are, looking at right now has two of the resources that are available to you to definitely enhance the job search experience. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is JobScan, and it's just the way it's spelled on the screen. And what that is a tool designed to help you optimize your resume and cover letters for those applicant tracking systems. For those who may not know, an ATS, applicant tracking system, is a software that is used by many employers to screen resumes and cover letters for specific keywords and qualifications. It makes it easier for them to quickly identify the most qualified candidates. JobScan works by analyzing your resume and comparing it to the job description, identifying keywords and skills that are important to that employer. It then gives you a score based on how well the resume matches the job description, and then offers you suggestions for improvement, such as adding or removing certain keywords or adjusting the formatting. So by using JobScan, it can be beneficial to you for several reasons. One of them is optimizing your resume for those applicant tracking systems. It'll increase your likelihood that your resume will make it through the initial screening process and be seen by a human recruiter. It definitely saves you time. So instead of spending hours going back and forth between your resume and the job description, it helps you to customize your resume for each job application. It'll identify which keywords and skills are most important for each job and then help you tailor your resume accordingly. It'll provide you insight into the employer's preferences. So by analyzing job descriptions and identifying those keywords and skills, JobScan can help you gain insight into what the employer is looking for in a candidate, therefore allowing you to better tailor your job search. The next resource that is on the screen is Big Interview. And for those of you that may not know, Big Interview is an online platform that is housed in Handshake, designed to help you improve your interviewing skills. It offers a wide range of resources and tools, including video lessons, practice interviews, and feedback from experts to help job seekers prepare for their job interviews. So by using Big Interview, it can assist you by helping build your confidence, by providing you with the opportunity to practice interviewing and receive feedback. It helps to reduce your anxiety when it comes time for the actual interview. It personalizes the practice by interviewing for specific job types, industries, or companies, which can help you tailor and prepare to those specific requirements of the job that you are applying for. Big Interview provides you feedback on areas that needs improvement, such as your body language, your tone of voice, how fast were you speaking, what type of filler words were you using. We all get nervous. It's a common occurrence. It's natural to stutter. It's okay to say likes and ums, but it will help you to practice so you can try to tone that down a bit. It's going to help you identify and address any weaknesses that you may be experiencing with your interviewing skills. So it's also a time saver because it'll save time and you don't have to spend any money on any in-person coaching or mock interviews. It allows you to practice as much as you need to improve your interviewing skills at your own pace and on your own schedule. So I highly recommend that everybody get familiar with those resources. JobScan, you can locate at jobscan.com. And Big Interview is housed in Handshake. So if you can get into your career resources in the Handshake platform, you will be able to locate Big Interview. So the job of your resume is to get you that interview. So JobScan helps your resume. Big Interview helps you once you get that interview. And those are the 2 secret sauce recipes that we have for you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rose. And again, those 2 resources are free of charge. And if you need any assistance in using them or if you have questions about them, feel free to contact us and we can even walk you through it if you have any difficulty. But again, these are free, but they are what we call game changers. And we've seen and heard so much feedback from previous students about the effectiveness of these areas. I want to talk briefly about a new club that we are working with SGA, Student Government Association, and it's going to be called Career Ready. This club, we've tried so many times to engage with our students and to help them to connect and to be more aware of what's happening within their selected degree programs as far as industry is concerned. We've had an opportunity, of course, to collaborate with so many employers and to share such a wealth of knowledge that we think this is going to also to be a game changer. This club, as you can see, this is an acronym. CAREER is an acronym that stands for Charting a Runway for Employment and Educational Readiness. And what it does is help you to gain industry-specific knowledge, enhance your career skills, and also to experience firsthand the corporate culture within various organizations. We've already had a chance to do a couple of trips, employer site visits. About 2 or 3 months ago, we were able to visit the Boeing company in Charleston, South Carolina, and offer that to students. Some of you may have seen that. Let me click to the next screen here. This was very, very beneficial to those students that attended. They got a tour of the Boeing company in Charleston, South Carolina, and we want to do more of these. We connected some of the Boeing employees. Of course, a few of them were actually Embry-Riddle alums, and they kind of connected and were able to provide some mentorship and an ongoing mentorship that most likely will result in full-time opportunities later on. So it's employer site visits like these, as well as we visited Gulfstream in Savannah, Georgia, did a tour accompanied by some students. And we would like to share more, connect you with industry professionals and industry experts in virtual webinars. And we're going to offer this, of course, it's a club that requires you to basically only have an approved resume in handshake. We'll begin signing up those who are interested on the day of the expo. So look out for that. We encourage all of you to participate via your own, whatever college you're in or whatever degree program you're in. We're going to target some of the major industries first, whether it's aviation maintenance, whether it's aviation security, homeland security, business. We're going to do it on a rotational basis. So we're working behind the scenes right now on that. So that is coming up very, very soon. So hopefully you'll take advantage of those, and looking forward to meeting some of you in person as we begin to connect you with some of these employers. So without further ado, it's my extreme pleasure to introduce, and I think I did this at the beginnings, but this is the Worldwide Career Services, what we call A-Team. They're the ones who will be engaging with you for the most part. For Worldwide, we also have our Daytona Beach Career Services team that we collaborate with, as well as some of those of you who are from Prescott. We interact quite a bit with Mr. Kevin Hurdan and his team there in Prescott. So we're looking forward to engaging with all of you. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce a very dear friend of ours. Ms. Angie Engel has been just dynamic. I think she's been with us with Embry-Riddle now, maybe about a year. And Angie, you can correct me on that. But it's my extreme pleasure to introduce Ms. Angie Engel at this time to share what you should do following the expo. All right, Angie, take it away.
Great, thank you, Arnold. And I appreciate you promoting connecting with alumni. I'm going to go ahead and just pop in here in the chat some ways in which you can connect with Embry-Riddle alumni through events and also through our mentoring portal. So I have a top 5 list. I call it Angie's list. And so if we can go on to the next slide, these are going to be things for you to do right after the expo. And the first being the number one is to connect with recruiters. And you should do this within 24 to 48 hours of the expo. And I think you'll be surprised to know that most job seekers don't bother following up with recruiters. They think, oh, they'll remember me. They'll remember my picture, my face. I asked that one question in the session. But just as today we have 30 some people on this call, recruiters are seeing people all day long and seeing resumes. So you want to stand out to them. And the way to do that is to follow up with them. So it's connecting with them on LinkedIn, sending them a follow-up email, and letting them know which job you've applied for, maybe say that requisition number in particular that you've applied on their applicant tracking system, and asking for an interview. Again, you want to do the follow-up. So you want to make the recruiter's job easy in remembering you. Number 2 is to network with alumni. You want to establish relationships with people on the inside of the company. And you can find alumni through that mentoring portal. You can also find them at our alumni events that are in a variety of areas and on LinkedIn. And you know that old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. That makes all the difference. We have 131,000 Embry-Riddle alumni who are working and that want to connect with you at their employers. Number 3, conduct informational interviews. And I don't know how many of you may already be doing this, but informational interviews are the interviews before the real interviews. And you're not asking for a job initially, you're asking for advice from someone who is in the role that you are especially interested in. So you're asking for advice, not a job initially. So you want to establish rapport first. And why is this important to do informational interviews ahead of time? One of my alumni who accepted a position as a regional manager for an airline, when she was in the role in the very first week, she realized it wasn't the right job for her. And if she had spoken with someone ahead of time who was in the role about the duties of the job, she would have known that it wasn't for her. And it would have saved her and the employer the investment of time and money. So don't skip this step. Don't skip this step. Do the informational interviews. And how do you do informational interviews? That's always a good question. What am I supposed to ask? Well, I have this fantastic book I'm going to recommend to everyone. It's called The 2-Hour Job Search. And I'll be mentioning it. This is by Steve Dalton. He describes exactly how to go about conducting informational interviews. All right, number 4, dun, dun, dun. Rose already talked about this, but I want to reiterate how important it is to prepare for your interviews, because what stands between you and your dream job is going to be a series of interviews, not only virtual, but probably in person, maybe over an interview over a meal. So you want to be sure that you're ready for all of these and you want to do well. And that's taking the time to practice your star stories and rehearsing for that performance of your life when you're on fire when you're talking to the recruiter in that interview. Number 5, get experience. So if you find out that let me start by saying employers are looking not just for your Embry-Riddle education, but they're looking for education and experience. One of my former students from Virginia Tech, who is now a SpaceX intern, it was his SpaceX internship was his 6th internship during his undergraduate career. And that was even during COVID. So no, it is going to be a competitive job market. And you want to gain as much experience as you can to set yourself apart. So if you find that you lack experience or a specific skill that the employer's looking for, go get it. And in fact, I met with an alumni and a hiring official executive from Airbus this week, and he stressed the importance of lean manufacturing certifications and project management. And so again, if you're finding through your conversations with folks that these are going to be really important skills, go out and get the skills that you need to be a highly competitive candidate. My bonus piece of advice for after the Expo, if you've not done this already, is join the professional associations connected with your industry. So those may be, and start attending the events. Whether it's the Supply Chain Association in Hawaii, if it's the MRO session in Atlanta, if it's the Central Florida Business Aviation here in Daytona Beach. You want to start making in-person opportunities for you to meet hiring officials in person and to go and be where they are. Okay, and on the next slide, thanks, Arnold. These are my favorite resources. So I told you already about the 2-hour job search by Steve Dalton. Another one is Getting from College to Career by, I have my own career library here, is Getting from College to Career by Lindsay Pollock. And then another is called Cut the Crap, Get a Job by Dana Manciagli. And Dana was the former head of global sales for Microsoft. So that is, she talks a lot about the mistakes job seekers make during interviews. So that's a really good one too. Okay, next slide. These are some of my favorite online resources, and I'll point out, most of them have already been mentioned, but I'll go ahead and point out a few of them. Aviationweek.com, looking at that every morning to see about what's happening in the aviation industry, whether you're in defense, in commercial aviation, just to know what stories as you're researching your employers. That's a good place to start. And the professional association websites, most of these will have their own career job boards. So that's why it's going to be important to join your professional associations. Okay, next slide. And we have upcoming opportunities for you to meet with alumni and employers. So April 19th, we're going to, the Alumni Association is having a reception at the MRO Americas in Atlanta. And then on April 25th in Baltimore as an alumni networking social. So we're all around. So feel free to check on our website. And then for you too, the first event for you as a new alumni is going to be Liftoff. And this is a time to celebrate and commemorate your time at Embry-Riddle, meeting your the students that other students you've been having classes with, taking classes with, picking up your cap and gown at Liftoff, and then having an enjoyable time with the alumni office. So building your network is so critical for your job success, not just now, but in the future. Know that this is an important skill that you're going to need to carry with you, and connect with your career services professionals at the offices. And then 2 years after you're graduated, alumni career services, it will be a help to you. So thank you very much. And I see I had a couple questions in the chat too. And Rose, thanks for answering those. Were there any that I still needed to? Oh, great. Are there any employers that at the Expo who are accepting foreign nationals on OPT or yes? And the answer to that is yes. We know that Airbus, I was mentioning they were just on campus. They're one of the employers. They were a new addition. Duncan Aviation, Winter Aviation, I think are going to be a few just to mention. Will NASA be at the Career Expo? Rose, I'm not sure about that one. Maybe Rose can answer that.
At this time, no.
So that one's going to be, remembering that the federal employers, it's going to take a little longer for you to get connected with them. So my first piece of advice is let's find an alumni who's working at NASA that you want to talk to, who's doing the work you want to do, and let's introduce you for an informational interview.
Yes.
Awesome. We have about 10 minutes, maybe 8 minutes left. If there are any questions that you would like to verbally ask, please feel free to take this time. If there's anything that we've covered, maybe you need a little bit more information on, feel free to unmute and we'll try to answer that.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Logan Olson. I just had a question regarding DoD Skill Bridge. So attending an event like the upcoming Expo, uh, some of my main interests would be in setting up a DoD Skill Bridge. How or what is your advice for approaching it from that aspect?
And are you still in the Skill Bridge program, or have you already completed it?
No, so I'm still currently active duty. I'm preparing to transition out of the military, but I'm still a year out from separation. So with that in mind, employers, are they going to be willing to wait a year for somebody to be available for hire, or seeking out those skill bridge opportunities beforehand?
I do think this is the perfect time for you to begin engaging and connecting with them. I know Embry-Riddle does have a couple of skill bridge programs that we participate in, including the aviation maintenance technology skill bridge program, as well as I believe we have AIT, which is an technology, information technology program. Many of the employers also have their own skill bridge programs that they're connected with. So I would definitely ask. Probably, usually they look for service members who are maybe within 6 months, but now is the perfect time to begin engaging with them so that they can be, also get to know you. They'll probably give you some connections, or as Angie and Rose was saying, and Andrea was saying about connecting with them via LinkedIn and other sources. I would definitely encourage that. Angie or Rose or Andrea, is there anything else you want to add on to that?
I did, yeah, it's one of the employers that I met at a pilots conference recently was Air Methods. And they specifically indicated that they were hiring and had a skills bridge program. So attending the conferences early, yeah. And and there's there is a book called this in your veterans office is called GI Jobs.
Okay.
And there are a list of military friendly companies that might be helpful for you too.
Thank you for that.
Sure. And an earlier question someone had was how many days do you wait for the follow-up with the employer? And after the expo, it's 24 to 48 hours. Boom, because you're trying to sell yourself. So within 24 to 48 hours, you need to have connected with the recruiter that you're interested in. And after an interview, it's going to be the same day or the next morning that they need to have a thank you note in their email box from you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, my question is because I am an alumni, and our alumni are allowed to go to this career expo.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, I graduated back in May, so currently looking for work, and I figured why not just reach out and see if y'all had anything going on. So hence I saw this event, and registered for it. So are we allowed? Yes. And regarding the question regarding the employers, I noticed that many of the employers, it require US citizenship. Do you need to be a US citizen for all of them? Because from top of my head, I could remember Honda is probably the only one that could allow a foreign national to work over there.
So some of them, some of the employers, you do have to be a US citizen, but there are others such as Airbus in particular that are the larger international companies that may be inclined to hire. And then some of the smaller aviation companies like Winter Aviation and Duncan will consider people who are not on OPT or CPT. And I have a list, Harris, why don't you follow up with me afterwards if you would? I do have a list of international friendly employers that I'd be happy to share with you. And we had a panel discussion of alumni earlier in the year who talked about what it was like for them to find a job. And I've got that recording I can share with you.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure thing. I'll put my email in the chat box here.
And
Just to give you
remember-
an idea, I'm sorry, Arnold, not to
Oh,
cut
you're
you
fine.
off. Some of the companies that did offer, like they did say they were willing to offer some sponsorships. And I don't know if that's anything of interest. You're looking at Air Wisconsin Airlines, Fovia Aero, Electro Impact. The DoD Civil Service did say they would. That is the Air Force Civilian Service, the US Border, Customs and Border. Jacobs, they did specify on their questionnaire that they are willing to offer sponsorship. So that might be something of interest as well.
Okay,
Just
thank you.
remember that,
Hello.
just remember that career services is a lifetime resource. So regardless of when you graduate, if you graduate in 1896, guess what? You can always come back to Embry-Riddle, and our career services team will help you to the best of our ability. All right.
Thank
so
you very much, Arnold.
That's always available. And you're welcome at all of the expos that's put on regardless of the campus affiliation.
Thank you.
All right, I see a question there. Will NASA be at the Career Expo? At this time, NASA has not signed up. Who knows what will happen before then? We're still pending, additional, employers signing up. So at this time, NASA is not confirmed. Let's see, how do we get this slide deck? We will definitely have this recording available. And Rose, if you want to share maybe a little bit of how they'll be able to review this recording.
Yes, we're going to send the PowerPoint slides to anyone that registered for this event that you're on right now. So as long as you registered through Handshake, we should have your email address, and we're going to send it to everybody on that list. We are also
Nice.
going to put it on, we're creating a YouTube channel as well. So this recording will also be uploaded onto our YouTube channel when this is over. And we can provide you with the YouTube channel link once we email you the PowerPoint slides.
Angie,
Yes,
ahead.
I think Brian has a question.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My question was
Right.
for, I'm not sure if it was a professional program. I know that it was mentioned that it would be for students, like I guess an organization or a club, like a campus group. Is that going to be located on the Daytona Beach campus? Is that going to be a worldwide virtual meeting? And also, would that be open to recent alumni?
All very good questions, and good to see you, Brian. Basically, this is a worldwide club at this time. We're just getting it launched. We'll see what happens after that. It will be available to alumni. Right now, I'm going to say worldwide, but reach out to us later on. We might be able to maybe figure something out. But right now, we're starting with worldwide. But
Okay, thank
great
you.
question. Great question. All right. Let's see. Does everyone have the list of employers? You should be able to access the list from your Handshake profile. If you registered for the event, you should be able to click and find the list of employers. I see a few asking about various ones. If they're not listed in Handshake with the event right now, they are not confirmed, okay? So at this time, Raytheon is not confirmed, just the employers that are listed. Okay, let's see, do we have any other questions? Right. Will the schedule for the expo be emailed out? I think Rose covered that. Rose, you want to?
Yes, anyone that has registered for the expo in Handshake, And honestly, to anyone that doesn't have access to Handshake, if you email us to our generic inbox, we will make sure that you get the links. I just put the YouTube channel out there as well as our generic email. And just keep in mind, our YouTube channel is brand new. So this will be one of the first videos uploaded. So if you go onto it now, it's probably nothing there. But we're going to be uploading this video within the next 24 to 48 hours.
All right, I know we're past 3, but let's see if we can squeeze in one more question here from Talon. He was asking if, well, I was curious if you have any advice for building experience when a lack of experience is what's acting as a barrier to entry-level positions. Totally understand, specifically for cyber, but I'm sure many students run into this issue. I'm gonna let Andrea maybe address this just a little bit.
Yes, so Talon, that is a really good question, and you are correct. You're not the only one that it faces that situation. Areas that you can enhance your resume. You can add a section for projects where you highlight your academic projects that would relate specifically to the role that you're applying for. You know, those entry-level positions, internships, those are all great ways to express the knowledge that you have that maybe you just haven't had the opportunity to apply in a real world work environment. You can also highlight related coursework that you've completed. That's another good way for you to express that you have the knowledge, you just haven't had the opportunity yet. And certainly I cannot emphasize enough, network. The more people you talk with, they may be able to recommend, you know, courses that you can complete, just additional certifications that you'd want to look into that would be beneficial, as well as just learning from them. Once they get to know you, understand your dedication to making that leap into this new area, they're going to be able to provide feedback. They're going to be able to recommend you for positions that can help you get past that barrier. So stay positive and apply some of these. And if you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to your career services team and we can go into additional details on your specific situation.
Thank you, Talon. I see Angie also put something in there. Angie?
Sure, I mentioned the Forage, which is a website where employers have posted projects that potential job seekers can do. And they're very structured, usually for a specific company. It's not for credit, but it would be something that you could show on your resume. And if you're successful in doing this online project, the employer is notified. So some major employers listed there. Yeah. And I didn't mean to scare everybody with the SpaceX intern. I just wanted to, you know, some of it was just to show you, you really, it's going to be a competitive market, but we know that you can be the best you can be, and there is still time to get experience. Even if, you know, we're moving into summer, some of these employers still have opportunities for internships.
Awesome. And Rose just put in there about LinkedIn Learning. That's another great resource you can access. But again, I encourage all of you, focus on your resumes, use JobScan before the Expo event. Make sure that your LinkedIn profiles are updated. Make sure you have a professional appearance. And I'm sure you're going to be just fine. Do your research on the employers. Be able to engage and interact with them. Often I see, you know, we see those who are not as experienced at expos. You see them wearing those heels and they're trying to get used to wearing the heels. They look great, but we want to make sure that you not only look great on the outside, but when you actually engage with the employers, that they can tell that, oh, wow, this is this is an Embry-Riddle candidate because they've done their homework. All right, so we're expecting interviews, we're expecting great conversations. And even if you don't get an interview offer, just know that that networking piece is going to be invaluable. All right, I know we've gone a little bit over. For those of you that have to leave, feel free to do so. Thank you so much for attending. But if you have some additional questions, we'll be here for another few minutes, or if you have any additional questions. All right. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions?
Thank you all.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad to hear that, Gregory.
Hi, Christian. Good to see you again. How's everything going? Oh, I think you're muted. Yeah, looks like we're still muted. That's okay. All right, everyone, have a great day. I think we'll end this one, okay? Take care.